I'm live. I'm live once more. Listen, in my last live, which was in December or November, I was like, hey, y'all, listen, I'm a new chimney now. Okay. I'm a serious, grounded chimney. Okay. So get used to this version of me, the version of me that screams directly into the camera. She's gone. I'm thinking about that line from that Taylor Swift song where she's like, I'm calling for like Taylor, the old Taylor. And she's like, oh, she's dead. That's what I was like for the version of me. That is me right here, who is very high energy and screaming directly into the camera. And I realized upon reflection, and also like, I really want to move this. Like, it's bothering me. Also, I see like one person is here. Hi, one person. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Yeah, this is just bothering me. So I'm just gonna move that. And also, and could I have done this set dressing before we started the live? Yes. Did I do it? No. Okay. So what I realized is that version of me, Amadon, Happy New Year, 2023, y'all, you're making us motherfucking money. By the way, this is unrelated. I would love to sing backing vocals in a song. Y'all know Maroon 5, right? Back when I used to really love Maroon 5, they had this album that I don't remember what it's called. Maybe It Won't Be Soon Before Long. I think that's the one. And in the random song, Rashida Jones, the actress and child of famous Black person whose name I do not remember also, she is just randomly singing backing vocals in one of these songs. And I was like, so we can just do anything. Like, we don't need any kind of like, my understanding, and it's becoming more and more clear, y'all. If you are friends with people who do things and they like you and you like them, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is dope, I would love to sing backing vocals, and they're like, sure, then that's how you end up being in an album. Like, it's not that serious. And so Avedon, I know, Sade, hi. Sade, what's it like being named Sade? Because there's a very famous Sade, obviously. And that's also like, I feel like that's not a name where you'd be in class and people would be like, Sade J versus like Sade M. So I'm curious what that's been like for you. But basically what I'm saying, Avedon, is if you ever like sell a beat and you're working on like a dope song and you're like, who would love to sing backing vocals on this is Chimdi, DM me, because I would so be down. I would so be down. But what I was going to say is like the extent to which media is made up of individual people who are passionate about their projects, and then they pull in their friends to work together. And then they have to navigate politics and some of the corporate stuff. But for the most part, like I was reading this interview about this guy who's been in every single one of Rian Johnson's movies. He did like Knives Out, and he did one of the Star Trek movies, and Brick and Looper and all these movies. And this guy has just been in every single movie because they're friends. Like, that's the whole thing. And then he's doing this TV show with Natasha Lyonne from Orange is the New Black, and that show on Netflix that I watched the first season of, and I don't remember the rest of it. And he mentions like, oh, they've been best friends forever, and now they're working together. And I'm just like, wait, so it's just a club of dope people who are friends with each other and they make stuff, and that's how it all happens. And when I look at my own career, I've got a video coming out about like my keys to success, and one of them is truly being a vibe. But when I look at like the literal elements of my career, and of course I've worked hard, I'm great on camera, talent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, assume all that. But in reality, getting that voiceover gig, I knew the person who was hiring for the voiceover gig. We were friends, and I just hit him up like, yo, maybe me? And I auditioned and stuff, but like, that's how it happened. Like, I've gotten so much dope stuff, y'all, from relationships. So I'm realizing like, yeah, I just see it all for me. 2023, I see it all for me. Okay. Sensational. I want someone to ask me a question and I respond, sensational. That's what Sade said it was like to say her, to be named Sade. People what do they think it is? Like Sadie? That's the only thing I can think of. Okay, Abadan is saying that he's got another idea in mind that he's just planning to start working on this weekend. And when you get the details together, listen, y'all, listen. Okay, that's the other big thing, 2023. That's the other big thing I learned. A lot of it is being like, this is what I want. And then people who are like, oh, I can help you get what you want. People want to help. People want to like, we all want to realize our visions, you know? They will be like, okay. And then they will help you. Also, I'm balancing this laptop on the table. So like every time that happens, it's because I'm like emphasizing. So like my bad. And I recorded 2 videos at this exact same spot and I was watching it back and I was like, oof. But I'll put a little like disclaimer in there. But yeah, a lot of it is like having clear set intentions and stating it proudly and excitedly. Like, this is what I want to do. People are like, ooh, I love her passion. I love her energy. Like, can I get a part of that? Can I be a part of that process? Also, currently we're now up to 12 beautiful, incredible, sexy, so hot people. My goal for all of y'all is for y'all to talk to yourselves the way I talk to myself and also the way I talk to y'all, which is to literally be in the mirror like, oh my God. Look at those lips. Yes. So that's how I feel about y'all. Y'all are so fine. I can't even tell. I can't even tell, but I know it. All right. So know it for yourselves as well. High level, by the way, for this live, there is a structure. I'm calling it hopes. I think I called it hopes and dreams and delusions. And delusions is a shout out to Bria Jones. She is this dope creator on here, and she is also a part of the 2023 like Black creator class that YouTube does. And I was watching one. I watched a few of her videos, and she had one that was all about being an influencer and the behind the scenes and some of the different stuff. And one of the things she talked about was getting QuickBooks freelancer or like self-employed basically, and talk about how easy it was and how she used to like chart her stuff in like spreadsheets and that was not it. And now it's so much better. And I literally off the pure, she was influencing y'all. I literally offer pure recommendation. I got QuickBooks. It was so incredibly easy. And I'm reading this awesome book that's called How to Make a Hell of a Profit and Still Go to Heaven. And one of the things it talks about is like having a clear sense of your like financial life, you know, like really just knowing how much do I own? How much do I have? What are my liabilities? What are my assets? Like all that basic stuff. And one of the things he says is like, sit yourself down and find out what your net worth is, which is your liabilities versus your assets. And the people who are willing to do that much are the ones who are serious about being rich. And if you just ask somebody on the street, like, what's your net worth? Like the people who are serious about their money, they know. And the ones who aren't, they don't. And I, of course, did not know mine. But by doing the QuickBooks thing, I already was like, you know what? These things seem hard. Like we build them up in our minds to be so difficult. But actually, when we're in it, it's not so bad. So I got myself a spreadsheet and I wrote down assets and I wrote down liabilities and I went through and I did it. And not only do I have more assets than I realized, so like in like 401k and 403bs and like back when I was investing, the money I had in stocks and all these things. But I also, when I did the math, I also am, there's one account that I need to like still sign into because it's from that job from like 2008 or something. But think I would be breaking even. Like even with my credit card debt, I think I'd be roughly breaking even and maybe even having a positive net worth. So I just feel really good about that. And like if thinking about your net worth like freaks you out and brings up fear, take some time, be with that feeling, weep it out, you know, and then do it so you can be rich. Because I'm trying to have all of us be rich. Hi, Satria. How are you? You're a plain Jane, see? If that's how you choose to identify, obviously you can do whatever you want, but you cannot make me identify with how you identify. I guess that's like respect, right? It's like honoring someone's pronouns. But I don't know. I feels very uncomfortable for me for someone to be like, it feels very uncomfortable for me for someone to be like, yeah, I'm not hot. And then I'm like, I agree. Like that seems pretty messed up, right? So if that's how you choose to identify, do you? I love and respect you. But in my mind, you are hot. So just know that. All right. That's how I see you. Also, one thing, I'm trying to be better about it. But one thing is sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch my lives and people have like left comments and I've totally just missed it. And I've been like, oh, and there'll be like really interesting questions or things. And I'm always like, so I'm going to try to be better this time about really seeing what's happening in the chat. But high level for this call, we're already 1/3 of the way in. I just want to share some of the things I'm like taking with me into 2023 and how I'm making it like the best year that's ever been in my life, you know? And then also, this is the call, and then there's a half hour Patreon only Zoom style, interactive style call after this. And that's for the Patreon people. And it's patreon.com/Chimsy. And so one of the things I want to talk about, because I've been really good lately about posting more on my Patreon, has been something this book has talked about, which is about um, fair exchange. So it's this idea that like when a service is rendered, payment is due. And so sometimes we think like if we have that rescuer complex or that like sacrificial complex, we're like, no, I just want to help people to help people, like, just like I'll just give of myself and not receive anything in return. But actually, when you are out here just giving and not thinking you deserve like funds for your services, you're attracting freeloaders and you're attracting people who don't want to pay you for your services. But once you state and understand and know your own worth, then you'll start attracting people who feel the same and you'll start getting paid and everyone will be happy about it. And actually, you do yourself a disservice when you do things for free, when you feel like, oh, I actually should be getting paid for this. Because everyone feels it. Everyone feels like, ooh, actually, like I should be paying for this. And someone's like, I actually should be charging for this. And it creates this imbalance and this like discomfort. And it ends up ruining relationships anyway. So actually, and you end up broke. So in the long term, it makes more sense for you to actually charge what you're worth. And in the same sort of token, you shouldn't expect things without giving things back. So I think I kind of had this mindset, less in the beginning, but it happened. It kind of creeped up slowly as I was looking back, kind of getting a little burnt out, but I didn't realize it, which was like, oh, the Patreon people just support me. They just like care about me and they love me. I don't have to do shit. I don't have to update. I don't have to do no calls. I can just vibe out and they'll just like pour love on me, right? So that was me not really being in balance. And what I realized is that while I'm not like selling things to the Patreon people, there is an exchange that's happening. And it's me showing up and hosting things and like sharing my behind the scenes and giving updates on like videos and all these different things. And literally, I went from kind of posting sporadically to like, okay, let me like really make this a thing to start posting again. And literally somebody was like, hey girl, and like updated or like added more to their like monthly Patreon thing because something had just happened with their debit card or whatever. Hey, Natalie girl. And so it was like an immediate like X or like cause and effects basically, where I did one thing and I saw the result. And I'm seeing the same thing with YouTube. So one of my goals, and Bria Jones inspired this, is to get 100K in the year of our Lord, 2023. And I was watching her video and she sort of described the different things she did to get to, she's at 200,000 plus, the different things she did to get there. And some of the things I was like, And she said, you got to shake that ass for the algorithm. And I was like, I don't want to though. And then this book I'm reading was like, people who are successful, they're not really secrets. People will be like, this is what I did. So if you don't want to do what they did, then that's on you. And I was like, oh, okay. And one of the things she talked about was shorts. And I don't know why. I think it's something to do with, because it's the same thing with Reels and it's the same thing with TikTok, where like, I've had this resistance to short form content. And I still don't even really know why, but I know it's something in my head. And so like for the longest time, I wasn't making Instagram Reels and I finally started doing it. And then she was like, it's shorts. Like, this is what YouTube is pushing out. This is what's allowing my channel to grow. Like if you do shorts, especially now before they monetize it in February, you'll be able to grow your audience. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll do shorts, right? And literally, I posted a short and somebody was like, hey girl, haven't seen you in a while. And I'm like, I have been uploading literally every single week, sometimes 3 times a week, and you haven't seen me in a while. And I was like, okay, all right, now I understand. Now I understand. And I made the short most recently about that Taylor Swift video I made. And I was like, well, since I already have it, I might as well put it on Instagram. I still haven't quite figured out what I want my relationship to be to my personal Instagram. I don't know. There's something that I haven't quite figured out there. I have a coaching Instagram, Coaching by Chimdi. And that one, I love showing up and I create, content all the time on there. But something about the personal one, I think it's because I'm like, yeah, it's also tied to why I still haven't put a season 2 out of my podcast. But it's something about like the level of like nitty gritty about my personal life, you know? And I think it's because with YouTube, I package it into like, here's a lesson I learned about something. And I'm like, it feels more like I'm sharing something I learned versus just like, here I am eating some dope ass pancakes. And it's like, cool. Like I haven't quite figured that out. I'm going to just check in because I see some activity in the comment section. So Satria is saying that she's fine with herself. Good. It's intentional plainness. Okay, first off, I have enough awareness to know that everyone is intelligent. We're all wise. And so if there is a reason why you said it's important for me, or it's actually safer, it's better for me to be plain, that's wise. So I really shouldn't even be reacting any kind of way, because this is something I've been reflecting on. Like whenever we're confused about something or something doesn't make sense to us, or something, like we react in a way to something because we're like, I wouldn't do it like that. Like that's because we're missing information. If we knew the whole story, we would be like, oh, this makes sense. So I'm obviously just missing something about your life and your experience that would make it such that if I knew it, I'd be like, oh yeah, it makes sense for you to go down that route. So just want to name that. Hi, Nisha. Happy New Year. How you feeling in 2023? I actually set goals. That felt really different. That was one of the things, that Bria talked about in her video, was like actually set goals. It was interesting how many things she said. I had like a resistance. I was like, ugh. I'm like, no, I just want to vibe. Just want to flow with the river of life. And then God will just bless me. I don't want to have any goals, but it's like, nah, it's like, you need to know what you want. And then God can be like, here you go, And I think in my experience, God always blesses me far beyond what I'm even conscious of knowing I want. And also I get all the things I want to. So I actually made goals. So did you make any goals, Nichelle, for this new year? Hi, Christopher. I think Christopher is the Christopher that I went on an internet date with for a full 5 to 10 minutes. How are you doing? Sade says, did you really enjoy my podcast that you're hoping for season 2? So this is what I was thinking. So I keep recording premiere episodes. Like I keep being like, all right, y'all, this is it. and I record like a 30-minute episode. And then weeks, months pass, and I'm like, no, that's not the one. And then I'm like, all right, let me do it again. So I'm at literally like 5 premiere episodes. So I think I might release it. If I keep doing it, I'll release it as a season, and it'll just be me continuing to iterate. In one version, I like went back to some voice notes I actually sent to a friend of mine from like years ago. And you can kind of hear like where I was in my journey. It was so cool to listen to. It's literally when I discovered Thomas Hubel. Like it's literally me being like, this Thomas Hubel guy, I really like him. Like there was a before time before I was obsessed with him, y'all. I promise. I wasn't always like this. So maybe I'll get it out. We'll see. I think that'd be a fun concept, And it's just like the stakes are very low. Nichelle has set her intentions for 2023. We love it. I have a word of the year because people kept asking me, what's your word of the year? And I was like, oh, and my word of the year is miracles. I'm doing a course in miracles. So it's like a thick ass book, right? And half of it is like the theory, I guess, behind it. And the second half is actually like every single day you do a different practice. And so I'm on day like 4, I think. And the practices, like the first 3 days, the practices have been like, I don't know what's going on. It's just like, I don't know what's going on. And you're supposed to just like repeat these things. It's supposed to be like, when I look around this room, I don't understand anything that's happening here. And it's just a way of like basically reconditioning your mind to go from like the essential to like the bullshit and being able to separate them. And so I was just like walking down the street being like, everything that I see on this road, like I don't understand none of it. Oh, there's one that's like, everything that I see has the meaning that I give to it. And I'm just like, okay, this teddy bear, this Merry Christmas teddy bear, it don't mean nothing to me. That's not one. It's just like, I don't understand it. I don't understand what I'm looking at. And it was interesting because at first I'm like, well, I think I kind of know a thing or two. But then I would start being like, actually, like, I don't understand air conditioning. Like, I don't understand how this faucet works. Like, I started realizing, oh, microwaves. I don't understand this microwave. walking down the street. I don't understand this car. I don't, And then it got very vulnerable where I was like, I don't know what's going on. I've been trying my best, but actually I really have no idea. And honestly, it felt great to admit that. So miracles are my word. And of course, the miracles defines it as a return from fear to love, which is very beautiful. So I think either way, it's what I've been working towards and what I've been receiving. So I'm looking forward to receiving more. Nichelle loves miracles. I knew you would because you have excellent taste. God performed a few miracles in your life in 2022. The difference a year makes, and I'm filled with gratitude. Amen. Amen. One of my favorite things to do, because I genuinely love it and because I do feel that it brings more miracles, is to get myself like all the way worked up about something I'm really grateful about. I did it last night with the moon in Brooklyn. If you listen to the first season of my podcast, and maybe if I don't know how much I talk about this, but I love the moon. Like I'm such a fan, like for real. And here where I stay in Maryland, like I don't get to see it out of any of the windows. So it's only when I'm like, getting out of the Uber or taking out the recycling, and I'll be like, the moon, I'll be all happy. And so I lived here like for 9 months before I was in Brooklyn. I'd only see the moon when I was like, the moon. And I didn't realize the extent to which I didn't feel safe in my body. This complex is so nice, so safe, super chill, but I didn't really feel safe, like just being outside at night alone. Like that just didn't make any sense to me. Because if it were up to me, I would like get a blanket and I would like go lay in the grass and just stare directly at the sky and just like I would just vibe out with the moon. But I think that was an option for me then. And so I would just see it every now and again and be like, oh, I love her. And then I moved to Brooklyn. And I remember the very first time it was a full moon because I stepped out to the balcony and it was right there. And I was like, what? And it blew me away. Like I still remember, it shocked me. And then I went to my bedroom and it faced that side. And I could literally lie in bed and stare directly at the moon. And I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it was one of those things that genuinely, I didn't know I wanted. It wasn't a conscious, like, what I would love is to live in an apartment where I can stare directly at the moon. It wasn't a thought for me, but God knew. God went right down to the center, to my deepest root chakra, and was like, I know what would make you really happy, girl. I was telling my friend about this, so I'll tell y'all about it too in case it benefits you. But one of the affirmations I used to have was about like miracles and blessings just like waiting for me every time I wake up. And so I was thinking about that yesterday and I was imagining like God and like the team of angels being like, all right, y'all, we've got like a dope day planned for Chimdi. We have so many things. She's going to love them all so freaking much. I'm so excited for her to wake up so we can give her all these gifts. And I'm just like, hey guys. And they're like, oh my gosh. Okay. So here we've got this. And I'm just like, whoa, I just got here. And they're like, we just love you so much. And I had this moment yesterday where I went to this bench near where I stay. And have y'all seen that thing where like light streams through the clouds and it has like that whole heavenly appearance? I saw that a couple of days ago and I was like, wow, beautiful. And God was like, oh, did you like that? More. And so I went out yesterday and it literally was like it was like a huge thing because it was like a little bit stormy. So it was just like all gray clouds and this like stream of light. And then it was getting bigger and then it was moving towards me. And I'm like, you're giving me a full on light show, God, just for me. And God was like, yes, queen, I knew you'd like it. And I'm like, I do like it. I like it so much. So just really tapping into like, wow, blessing, gratitude. It's just been incredible. So I highly recommend it because I do think it brings more dope stuff into your life. Okay, I'm going to just do a quick scroll up. Satria is saying it's unfair how much YouTube is forcing shorts. And honestly, I really was so like had my stake in the ground around like, I shouldn't have to do anything but vibe. I shouldn't have to do anything but vibe and be successful, right? Like I just believe that so strongly. And I think for me, I'm looking at my experience so far on YouTube and the extent to which like when I edit a little bit, when I throw in some B-roll, when I take some notes, when I promote my videos. Like I made this video about Taylor Swift, right? And in it, I talk about, of course, love her music and all this stuff. But to me, the kind of heart of it, the part that felt kind of vulnerable to share was talking about race. Because as a Black woman on the internet, like I do not want a bunch of trolls like bothering me. Like I'm like, leave me alone. I'm a nice person. And so I usually don't talk about it, but I knew it was important. Slash, it really just came out of me emergent while I was recording the video. And I was like, all right, I guess it's time to talk about this. And so I put out the video, but because there was a little bit of fear about that part, I didn't really promote it that much. Like I think I made like a single Instagram story, like, by the way, guys, I like made this video, like check it out or whatever. And I also was like, y'all have seen my YouTube videos. I had a period of time, I realized looking back, where I truly was kind of burnt out. So I was just like, all right, y'all, so this is what we're talking about. And I would just like say a single thing for like 8 minutes and then dip. That probably was I should have seen that for what it was. But for the most part, I'm like, y'all know my videos. It's like the vibes, it's the energy, it's the insight, it's the wisdom. Like, it's a good time. Like, click on it. Like, why do I have to tell y'all about this thing? And I was just thinking, like, and what I experienced is that I made that short for just for YouTube to promote it. But I was like, oh, I might as well put it on Instagram. And I had so many people be like, oh, I'm going to go check it out. Even like people in my real life were like, oh, I didn't know you were talking about this. Let me check it out. And I'm like, you in my real life, you know me. So the extent to which I'm like, oh, there is a level of like needing to do my part. And I think part of it too is like, Taylor Swift is the #1 artist. What if Taylor Swift becomes my new Thomas Siebel? She's the #1 artist on Spotify. She's still out here making little TikToks to promote her album. She is not coasting. And she actually had a couple of albums where she just dropped it without any promotion. And I think they still did fine, but it took her really being out here doing her thing to like get where she is. And a lot of people who are at the top of the game still do it. So yeah, I mean, I think the real thing is like we just look to see what works for us. And if we've been doing a certain thing and it hasn't worked, then we know like, oh, here's an invitation to try something new. And if I'm having a resistance to trying something new, then like let's examine and look at that. Because for me, it was all about just like fear of success and fear of like being honest about having certain goals and like being seen trying, actually trying to achieve them versus like, it all happened effortlessly. I'm just blessed. Like, it's like, no, I'm editing a short. And I'm going to edit another one. I'm working on captions. I've got a schedule. Like, it's like a whole thing, right? And it's a different way of being, but I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see. I'm going to try it out 2023, see what happens. And something the book, Hell of a Prophet talks about is like sometimes we think we want an easy life, but actually we want to be challenged. We want to grow. We want to expand. And I know that's true for me. Like I've gotten to a certain level, like more or less vibing and coasting and all that. And I do think having that energetic alignment is very important. But I now want to see, I'm curious. I'm like, okay, let's see if I make the YouTube shorts that go out 2 to 3 times a week, plus a weekly video, plus I'm posting on Patreon, plus I'm on Instagram. And instead of like, it's truly been a week because it's January 6th, but since doing it, I don't feel burnt out. I feel more excited because I feel the way, like it's generating energy. Like it's generative, this process of creating. I also love to create. And I feel so grateful because living here with my sister and not paying a single utility. I had a coaching client. She actually started a YouTube channel. Hey, her name's Angel. No, well, I think of her as Angel, but her name is Angelica. But she made a video about like feeling like she like wasn't a real adult, and she was talking about like staying like living with her parents. And she was mentioning, but listen, guess what I'm not paying for? Wi-Fi. Guess what I'm not paying for? Water or electricity. And I was like, it does hit different. Like the energy I have, because I'm not thinking about rent, literally, as far as I'm concerned, being a good sister and roommate consists of taking out the trash and recycling and keeping the kitchen clean. That's I'm done. And just being great company. And I feel like if I've done that, I've done my part. And this is an even exchange, like I'm not like being a downer in my sister's home. I'm not like messing stuff up and leaving it like that. I'm like keeping the place nice. I'm basically the housewife. She goes out and she earns all the money. And I'm the housewife and I keep the place clean, but only specifically the kitchen because I really don't do bathroom stuff unless I have to. Hey, AO, how are you? We truly have 30 seconds left. Victory! Hi! Oh my gosh, I love y'all. Oh, hey! I met Prince David in real life in Mexico. All right, I gotta tell you something, Prince, because we truly never hung out. But it's only because my version of God is so chill. And your version has lots of enemies and stuff. And I'm like, bro, I think it's fine. But I've learned not to really try to convince people about things spiritually. I'm just like, you know what? We're all on our path. But I just want to tell you that. Like, that's the only reason why we didn't hang out. Is I was just like, I don't think I don't know if this is radical, y'all. I actually do not think there is a devil. Like, I straight up am like, it's just God. It's just God. We're gonna end it on that. It's like a really random way to end, but we're gonna end it on that. I hope y'all have a beautiful ass day. I'm gonna head over to the Patreon and hang out. I'll see y'all later. Thanks for hanging out. I think we're gonna do this like once a month. We'll see. But something else Bria said is that YouTube is gonna start pushing the lives. So if that's what I gotta do to shake my ass for this algorithm to get to 100K, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Okay, bye, 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 bye.